Not dedicating your life to healing, recalibration, and self discovery after a breakup is dangerous. Let me give you some examples. I have a client who was super, super, super attracted and had an intense desire for this man who didn't seem to be reciprocating. So I said, okay, this guy isn't really giving the energy back to you. So what is it about this guy? And she says, oh, well, after the breakup, or after my divorce, um, we connected and I felt amazing. And my self esteem came back. And I just, I just really, really like him. And I said, well, could it be that maybe you're giving him too much power? So maybe the physical was supposed to happen and maybe that was great and everything. But at the end of the day, without healing, without recalibrating, without rediscovering who you are, you're going for something, you're coming after this person as if they're high. And that's really not what we want. You need to take your power back so that he is not the source of your happiness and your source of self-esteem. And you keep coming at him like is this is the only thing that you have, and really you have so much more than him. You have yourself. So I had another client today who asked, "Hey, what am I just had this breakup. How long am I supposed to wait until I get back with somebody else?" And I said, it's not just specifically about time, but it's about you. So you need to heal, recalibrate, and rediscover, and reevaluate your self-esteem. Because what you don't want is to come into a new relationship, or a new instance with somebody, and that person make you feel so good that you feel like your source of self-esteem and happiness is in that next person. And so when you leave somebody or when you have a breakup with somebody, you're not the same person that you were when you walked into the relationship. It's just not it. What you are is a new person. So you have to rediscover that. You also have to remove the parts of yourself that you maybe didn't like, from being in that relationship. So that is the reevaluation, just kind of understanding who you are, the lay of the land, recalibrating, rediscovering, what it is, recalibrating who you are. Who do you want to be? What are your new goals? What do you want to shed? And then rediscovering your self esteem. Okay, so now that I know who I am, this is where I'm at. This is what I want to build from. And you want to have that happiness, all over again, but the source being yourself. So I say this as a person who has had some very hard breakups. Um, the breakup I had years ago, a divorce I had years ago, was so hard for many, many reasons. A lot of that, the reasons why it was so hard is because there's so much of myself was wrapped up in this person, to where once it was all done, I had to refigure out who I was all over again. That's one. But the biggest mistake I made was going into another relationship without having healed and then recalibrated who I was and rediscovered my self esteem. So I ended up in another marriage after that, all while healing, still healing from the first marriage. So I've been away from this marriage number two for 2 years. And the whole time I've been healing, I've been in therapy. And I'll say healing, I'm talking about on many levels. But I've been in therapy, all sorts of things, and also recalibrated, shed a lot of the things that I didn't like about myself that I picked up while I was in this relationship. But also rediscovered my self esteem and my happiness. And the greatest, power I felt in this whole process, and if we say process, we can include marriage number one too, is knowing that my happiness is mine. It is not attached to somebody else. Knowing that my self esteem is mine, definitely not attached to anybody else. So I feel confident in myself by myself, and that whatever comes my way next has nothing to do with anybody else. It is just about me. That is a power that I am so happy to have because I have spent that time with myself. Now, how long does it take? It doesn't have to take 2 years. It didn't take 2 years. But this is just the amount of time that it's been since that breakup. But it could take a few months. It just depends on you. It depends on what you have going on and how dedicated you are to your healing, your recalibration, and your rediscovering of your self esteem.